Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Ad America. My name is Hasna, one of the guests here in Ad America, and we welcome all audiences joining us today online and with me at America. Ad America is the U.S. Embassy's American Center, and our mission is to provide a space for young Indonesians to learn about the United States. On this event, we will be having ASEAN Youth, Google, and America partner to fight back against misinformation. Today, there will be an insightful discussion with our panelists, and we will also witness the pledge taking of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group members. And now, to begin our agenda, allow me to invite our host for today's event. From ASEAN Foundation, please welcome Muhammad Aufar Iswara.
Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, honorable speakers, distinguished guests, members of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to extend a very warm welcome to all of you for joining us today at the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group inauguration ceremony. It is a kickoff event under our digital literacy program with the support from google.org. This regional program aims to combat misinformation and disinformation in ASEAN during the 2-year program implementation. We also like to extend our sincerest gratitude to the US Department of States and the US Mission to ASEAN, who worked in partnership with the ASEAN Foundation by providing this excellent venue at America Jakarta to host this event. I would also like to greet online audience who are watching now from Facebook accounts at America, US ASEAN, My America Jakarta, ASEAN Foundation, and American Corners in Padang, Bandung, Semarang, Yogyakarta, Pontianak, and Ambon. My name is Muhammad Aufar Iswara, and I will be the master of ceremony for today's session. We'll soon now begin the inauguration event with special remarks from the US Ambassador to ASEAN and our Executive Director of ASEAN Foundation. Afterwards, we'll have a talk show session where our distinguished speakers will share their knowledge and experience on how to become smarter digital citizen in this era. We also invite your active participation because there are special prizes for the 3 best questions from on-site and online participants. Today is also very special because this is the first public engagement of His Excellency Ambassador Johannes Abraham as US Ambassador to ASEAN. So without further ado, please allow me to invite His Excellency Ambassador Johannes Abraham to deliver his remarks. So Your Excellency, the stage is yours.
Wow, this is an incredible space and this is an incredible turnout. I feel energized just being here, and I'm extremely grateful to have the opportunity to say a few words. And thank you for that kind introduction. My name is Johannes Abraham. I'm the U.S. Ambassador to ASEAN. Uh, Extraordinarily excited to see this group here today, including the ASEAN Foundation Executive Director, Dr. Yang Miang, who I had some time to had a chance to spend some time with just prior to this. Google Indonesia Senior Analyst for Government Affairs and Public Policy, Ariane Sansoto, Dr. Cindy May McGuire, and charges d'affaires and other representatives from permanent missions to ASEAN. ASEAN Secretariat Community Affairs Directorate Director Lee Yung Yung, and Alfred Boll, Director of the State Department's Office of American Spaces. Glad to be joined by so many distinguished guests. And to all of you watching online, a big hello. And I apologize if there's glare on my glasses. I should have worn my contacts today. We're all here to celebrate a group of youth ambassadors who are taking significant action against misinformation to protect their futures, the well-being of their friends and families, and the peace and prosperity of our combined 1 billion people. And what better place to do it than at America, itself a leader in cutting-edge programming that has long reached out to audiences throughout the region. I'm thrilled to have my first public event here. These 20 young people joining us in person and from across ASEAN member states as part of a program between the State Department's Bureau of Educational and Cultural Affairs and Google will create campaigns to fight back against false information that puts communities and nations at risk. be it because of misleading information about public health, contradicting statements that obscure the truth, or steady flow of falsehoods that over time cause people to stop trusting reliable news sources and to stop taking action. In our hyper-connected world, nobody is immune from this problem. I had a chance to get briefed on the program itself, and what's apparent is that it's a world-class program. And through the campaigns this youth advisory group creates in the education, training, and digital upskilling provided by the ASEAN Foundation and supported by Google.org, more than 100,000 people of all ages and experience levels over the next 2 years will be given the tools and knowledge they need to fight back against misinformation. I mean, that is significant impact. 100,000 people given tools that they need to fight back against misinformation. And this partnership, which was announced at the May 2022 US ASEAN Special Summit, is yet another example of the commitment of the American people to Southeast Asia. To paraphrase President Biden, there's truth and there are lies. Lies told for power and profit. Each of us has a duty and responsibility as citizens and as leaders to defend the truth and defeat the lies. Today, we are inaugurating a group of young people who are making a pledge to fight misinformation and disinformation and all the evils that come with it. They are showing true leadership in standing up for what is right and encouraging others to join them. To them, I say, I commend you. I look forward to seeing what you do, and a massive thank you and a big thank you for everybody who came out here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency, Ambassador Johannes Abraham, for your very wonderful opening remarks. I agree that this event marks a deeper partnership between the people of the United States and the people in Southeast Asia, and we hope this friendship will grow from strength to strength. Next, it is my honor to welcome our Executive Director, Dr. Yang Mi-eng, to deliver her special remarks. To Dr. Yang, may you take the stage.
It's okay. Thank you. It is good to see everyone here. I'm so happy to see that this hall is full. So thank you so much for coming, even though it is raining. So actually, I would like to have a special welcome to Your Excellency Johannes Abraham, U.S. Ambassador to ASEAN, for giving this first appearance. We really appreciate this. Thank you. And we also would like to say a special welcome to Mr. Alfred Bo, Director of the Offices of American Spaces. And we have our VIP today representing Haji Harani, my chair of BOT, Ms. Dayanku Swazwani, Pengiran Haji Ismail, Second Secretary at the Permanent Mission of Brunei Darussalam, and also all the child affairs of my Board of Trustees. Welcome today, and thank you for your support. And of course, we also have our special guest today, which is, I think everyone here is aware, they are seated here. All our very inspiring youth will be sharing with us their experience, how they manage the misinformation challenges. So it is actually today's event marks a very important milestone for ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme, in which 20 young people, which is also a change makers, will be officially presented and appointed as the members of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, or ASEAN YAG, whose sole mission is to combat online misinformation and disinformation in this region. So misleading information is emerging challenges in all 10 ASEAN member states. And we have to tackle this because the access to the internet and digital media increases during this time. I think during the pandemic, this thing has been very, very, clear challenges posed to everybody. No one is spared from this. So among the citizens in ASEAN, the YAG groups will be at the forefront of the ASEAN ongoing effort to build and foster stronger digital literacy in the region in the next 6 months. So hailing from the ASEAN countries, the 20 youth were selected from hundreds of excellent candidates for their impressive digital literacy insights, extensive grassroots network, and deep understanding of local content. So most importantly, they share the same passion for community empowerment, social inclusion, and digital citizenship. In the following months, these young change makers will play a very pivotal role in ensuring that the goal of ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme is achieved by carrying out several key roles, such as spreading awareness about the importance of digital literacy among ASEAN citizens, to becoming an influencer that can help generate high participations from young people in training of trainers, and which is organized by our local implementing partners. So on that note, we are delighted to have our committed partners and supporters with us here today to witness and celebrate the first step that our members of ASEAN YAC in their fight against fake news and misleading information. With support from Google Org and also Google Philanthropy Arm, the ASEAN Foundation, in partnerships with the US Mission to ASEAN, is leading the implementation of ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme, a 2-year program, regional initiatives that aim to strengthen the digital literacy among ASEAN people, especially the vulnerable communities. Just bear with me, there are something I would like to share, just a few more. So through this program, we will deliver a series of impactful community-based activities, including deep dive research, e-learning platform development, and training of trainers with the goal of equipping 1,000 trainers with the right skills and materials to deliver digital literacy training to more than 100,000 people, like what has been mentioned by Ambassador just now, to ASEAN communities. So by collaborating with 15 local implementing partners who are here with us also today, we strive to reach out to more youth groups, teachers, parents, elderlies, community leaders, and government officials. I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate the 20 members of ASEAN YAC and wish you a meaningful journey starting from today. So I trust that all of you will use this precious opportunity to become a source of inspiration for a lot of people in your communities and beyond. I look forward to seeing you in action. So meaningful developments will only happen when we as a region move forward together. I would like to convey my deepest appreciation to Google Org for its steadfast support in helping ASEAN minimize the harmful effects of misinformation and disinformation, and also promoting digital literacy and cyber wellness through ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme. So a special thanks to US Mission to ASEAN and the US Department of State for joining the fight on this honorable cause. So I thank you very much, and I hope that you will enjoy the rest of the day and gain more knowledge on the subject matter. Thank you very much.
Excellent speech, and thank you very much, Dr. Yang, for your very warm welcome and very well remarks to all attendees who are attending both virtually and physically here. It was also very insightful to know that these young change makers will be the agent of change to improve the community empowerment, social inclusion, and raise awareness on being smarter digital citizens. Before we move forward to the next agenda, allow us to proudly present the video of ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme to give you an overview of our activities. Please do enjoy. So now, to keep your good spirits up, allow me to invite you to participate in a very quick quiz. This quiz will be the stepping stone before we hear the insightful story from our distinguished panelists. If I could kindly ask you to open your smartphone and open Kahoot and insert the code that will soon show on screen. As you can see from the screen, the code is 207988. And also you could scan the QR code as above, as seen on the screen, to participate in this Kahoot session. Also, just to give you a heads up, there will be vouchers available for the best player and one runner-up for this quiz. So there's something to look forward to. Okay. Wow, there's so much people here. Continue. Okay. So now we'll soon move forward to the questions. We'll wait for a few more seconds. Okay? Yeah. We'll wait for a few more seconds, then we can continue to the questions. And also for the winner later for this quiz, please drop your identity and your information to our Instagram at ASEAN Foundation so we could distribute your prize. Okay. Okay, now we can continue to the questions. First question. So this is the first question. You can copy and paste information from a website for your own assignment without giving credit. What is this called? There are four options. The first option is plagiarism. The second is works smart, not hard. The third is copyright violation. And the fourth is promoting the authors. So which one is it? You have 3 more seconds. 2, 1. Nice. 145 said plagiarism, and that's the correct answer. Congratulations. Okay, now you can move to the second question. Oh, wow. Something Wong. Something Wong is the winner as of now. Now, this is the second question. You use false information and pictures on social media to gain your interest. What is this called? The first option is disinformation. The second is cyberbullying. The third is lying. And the fourth is misinformation. You have 10 more seconds to answer this question. Also about Kahoot, the one that answers the fastest also gains more points. So try to guess faster. 78 said disinformation. Oh, it's quite tied with misinformation. Congratulations to those who answered correctly. Let's see the points. Oh, something wrong got replaced by Gabrielle. Let's continue to the third question. Okay, so what does www stand for? You often see this in every website when you browse. The first option is World Web Wide. The second option is Wide Way Wine. The third is World Wide Web. And the fourth and last answer is Worthwhile Word. So between these four options, which one is the correct one? You have 3 seconds. World Wide Web. 125 of you said correctly. Congratulations. Now let's see the points. Oh, each and everyone got replaced every time. Zendan is now at the first place. Let's continue to the fourth question. True or false? It is important to only read online news from credible sources and not from a random website. Is it true or false? I guess this would be quite easy. Okay, I guess this would be quite easy. Let's see how many of you can answer it correctly. Okay, the answer is of course the true. 136 of you answered correctly. Let's see the points now. Oh, whoa! Zendan is still in first place. Okay, let's continue to the last question. Now, this is in 2021, which Southeast Asian country has over 100% internet penetration? The first option is Brunei, the second option is Singapore, the third is Thailand, and the fourth is Indonesia. You have 10 more seconds to answer. This would be the last question, so whoever comes first would get the prize. Let's see the scoreboard. Oh, Brunei. The correct answer is Brunei. And only 14 people answered correctly. Now let's see the third. Wira, congratulations to Wira for earning third place. The second one is Tutus. Congratulations. Let's see the first one. Zendan. Oh! Very huge welcome. Congratulations, Zendan. To Zendan and Tutus, don't forget to drop your information and your information to our social media page at ASEAN Foundation so we could distribute your prize. So now, yeah. All right. Now, thank you for your participation, especially in keeping up your excitement to our event. This time, I would like to invite all of your attention back to the stage as we will start the special agenda for the inauguration. The moderator, Mr. Alden Iswanto, will lead the session and invite the panelists to the stage. Mr. Alden started his career as a political consultant with a focus on political risk and handling misinformation. And since leaving the sector, he's now more focused on taking care of his 5 cats at home and also running a sustainable material workshop that makes very cool things from plastic waste. So, without further ado, to Mr. Alden, the time and stage is yours.
Test, test. Good afternoon, everybody. His Excellency Ambassador Johannes Abraham for the U.S. mission to ASEAN, and Dr. Yang Mi-eng, Executive Director of the ASEAN Foundation, distinguished guests from permanent missions to ASEAN, the ASEAN Secretariat, honorable speakers, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to At America. We're here to talk something that is very relevant to our lives, something that has been discussed over the last 20 years, where the internet started to become a thing. And despite the constant issue and information, it's actually something that we still haven't yet get a grips on how to handle these new developments, because over the past 20 years, the digital sector itself has evolved into something that is unrecognizable from its first inception. And with new innovation, with new development, comes also new challenges. And I think it's very clear to us one of the very key issues is actually how we handle this new innovation, this new information flow that we have experienced and we face on a daily basis. I think the amount of information that we get, not just from online sources, from everyone, from news outlets, etc., is something at a level that we have never experienced in human history before. And I echo Ambassador Abraham's point that we are here and this program is launched to effectively try to fight misinformation and all the evils to it. And we very much welcome the very comprehensive explanation from Dr. Yang Mi about the wonderful initiative that this project will be focusing on the next year and so. So this discussion that we're going to have with my very incredible panelists that comes from various backgrounds, we will try to do in the next 30 minutes a recap, or at least to provide you an overview of what we're trying to do here in this program, and to tackle a very specific question that I think would spur a lot of thoughts and minds after you leave the session, which is actually how do we prepare ourselves to become a much smarter digital citizen in handling a lot of this misinformation that we will be consuming and facing on a daily basis. So I would like to welcome on the stage Ms. Ariane Santoso, Senior Analyst for Government Affairs and Public Policy at Google. Dr. Cindy May Maguire, Working Doctor as well as Miss International Indonesia for 2022. And Nisi Taruli Felicia, who is a representative of the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group. Please be seated. So before we start about the discussion, a brief intro to our very distinguished speakers. So Ms. Ariane Santoso, she currently works as a senior analyst for government affairs and public policy at Google, with a great focus on Google's public policy on cybersecurity, misinformation, and digital literacy. So this is very, very relevant to what we're doing right now, and with Google, a supporting organization to this project, I'm sure we'll get a lot of ideas and thoughts from Ms. Ariane. And Dr. Cindy May Maguire, a working doctor, as well as Miss International Indonesia for 2022. She is a strong advocate for health and education issues, and she's currently pursuing a double master's degree in health leadership and management and infectious diseases intelligence from the University of South Wales. So a very, very interesting combo, I would say. And Ms. Nisi Tarula Felicia, even though she is an architect by education, but she is doing incredible work with the deaf community under her organization Feminist, which is a digital platform that empowers the deaf community and deaf activists and to improve their digital awareness as well as digital security in the digital platform. She also works in teaching kids in a nonprofit organization, and as I've mentioned before, she is a representative of the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, who is the main, I would say, focus of this program. So before we dive into the specific discussion, I think I would like to start first with asking some big questions to all of you three panelists. With a lot of this information flow coming in, we would struggle a bit about selecting which one is true, which one we would believe in, and how to actually handle it. So I think first to Ms. Ariane, could you maybe tell us a bit, and using your background as a working public policy analyst in Google, in your opinion, what does it take actually to be kind of like a smart digital citizen in filtering information, in handling and reacting to new information flow in this very, I would say, confusing times?
Thank you so much, Mas Alden. But first of all, I'd like to thank you for the organizer, ASEAN Foundation, Your Excellencies, and honorable guests. Usually I would start with a pantun, but I have yet to learn how to do that in English. Pantun is like short Indonesian poems, Your Excellency. It's a great way to start every talk. But anyway, yes, thank you so much, Mas Alden, for the question. I think it, for me, it's all about awareness. Having the awareness that we may not know things, and that's why we have to be very careful. And I think it goes in like two factors, internally and externally. So internally, that would mean, the awareness to have the capability to know what are the facts and opinions on the website, and to have that digital literacy skills and critical thinking skills. And externally as well, I think it's like the willingness to contribute very positively to communities. I think that is a very important trait as well, to be able to distinguish information effectively.
Thanks, Ariane. So the ability to contribute positively as well to filter information. Dr. Cindy, if I would throw the same question to you, and I think because your background as a public figure, I'm pretty sure you also use a lot of your social media for good things. But I'm a bit intrigued actually about your background as a doctor, because I think in the medical sphere, scientific facts are very important and especially in the days of COVID, where a lot of messages on WhatsApps about COVID cures, remedies, etc., which might not necessarily have the kind of like a factual background. How do you actually become a smart digital citizen, putting kind of like your background in the medical sector as well as your public figure persona?
First of all, I'm very happy and honored to be here. Thank you for the question. Um, the news media right now uh, is very, very enhanced. So a lot of people are using social media, a lot of platforms, YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, newspaper, you name it. But the way I do it is to believe in the experts. Some people do not believe in the experts because they have their own beliefs, or maybe they believe the fake news that they've read from the news. And what I do is just to believe in the expert, because the expert, in believing the expert, because we are believing someone that has a lot of knowledge, because not everyone is knowledgeable in every field, in every subject that they are given, or nor everyone knows everything. So we, number one is to believe in the experts, and number two is we have to really be careful about what we read. So let's say we read a news that has a very extreme title. Sometimes it is a red flag. Mungkin contohnya seperti, oh, kopi dan makan durian bisa membuat meninggal. Something like that. So we really need to think, oh, is this trustworthy or not? And we have to know the source of the news.
Thanks, Dr. Cindy. I think there's a bit of an overlapping issue there when it comes to kind of like filtering information and determining actually whether the sources are credible or not. And we'll get to that point a bit later. But I would like to go over to Nisi first. In particular, with your role as a representative of the ASEAN YAG, I think we'll be very kind of like looking forward about the group, the activities that the group will be doing. And in relation to that, can you tell us a bit about what you have plans within the group in order to make ASEAN citizens better digital citizens?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. I'll be explaining in sign language, Indonesian sign language. Actually, it takes some time to interpret my sign. So in ASEAN Youth Advisory Group has a lot of variety. I mean, a diverse group from other places around ASEAN. So we discuss a lot of things, how to educate people. So a lot of youth, all youth, in ASEAN can against the disinformation or misinformation, because it is very important for us after the internet growing so fast. It's very important to maximize the internet to educate people, especially youth, to select the information rightly through through training or module. But now we has the plan to discuss more about how, to have a further discussion about it. That's all I think. Thank you.
So I think if I can summarize it, I think the role of grassroots communities as well as like training other people to be smarter is something that the group is looking to, which is great. I think as someone who's been working on things related to ASEAN, it's actually really great that ASEAN is actually trying to handle things that are of very great interest to not just the young communities, but also everyone, I think. So we've had a lot of interesting points there. Filtering information, doing positive things, as well as empowering communities and youth. So to focus on the first bit, which is the filtering information, I think Ariane, as your role in Google, how do you ensure that we actually use the technology that we have as maybe like a representative for the private sector as well as a public policy official to ensure that regular people have the necessary assistance and help to actually be better at filtering those information?
Really glad that you asked that question. So Google's mission is to organize the world's information to be universally accessible and useful. So all kinds of information. If you open up like your Google Maps, you would know which traffic would be bad, especially when it rains, right? Or if you open up your search and you're looking for specific information from recipes, from trying to fact check different things that you hear on the internet. So we are trying to organize the world's information so it can be useful and universally accessible. And on top of that, we also have our approach to address and fight misinformation and disinformation. And there are like 5 different steps. The first one, we want to make sure that we make quality count in our search ratings or ranking systems across our products. So, for instance, during the pandemic, people don't know what's right, what's wrong, what would be the symptoms, and we relied heavily on the group of experts that we worked very closely, and we surfaced that information on Google search and also YouTube, for instance. And even YouTube now has a health panel that would actually educate the public even more where the information comes from and how legitimate the source would be. So that would be the first one. And the second one, we also try every day, very hard, a combination of machine learning and human reviewers to fight malicious actors and protect our users. So that happens across our products like Google Play. So as simple as you open up your Gmail account, every day our system actually prevents around 100 billion phishing mails. So that's very impressive, and we're working very hard every day. But on top of that, we also try to open up transparency. We publish transparency reports, how we enforce our community guidelines. So on YouTube, we have the transparency report, community guideline enforcement reports, so people can know what is being removed and what is not, and what will be the reasons. We also have like ad safety report. That would be another thing that we are trying to look at around monetization, and just to make sure we also take care on that part, because we want to make sure that ads also comply with our community guidelines. And the third one is very exciting because that's where team on the ground works a lot with local partners. We have we provide users digital literacy and media context literacy. We want to make sure we partner with different organizations so that we can reach different communities, grassroots communities especially. One example is Tular Nalar, or in English is spreading common sense. It's like a consortium in the beginning with Mafindo, or Anti-Defamation Society in Indonesia, working together with Marif Institute. Um, and we want to teach actually how people can think more critically. And in the first year, in 2020, it taught more than 26,000 participants, from lecturers to higher education students. And this year, the focus is on elderly population. Um, a very touching story, actually. I saw like the pictures, how elderly communities in Wonosobo got together. They actually had morning aerobic session together, and they learned how to distinguish and address misinformation and different tools that they can use. The key word I think there is collaboration and partnership, many other things. And the other two is like working with news ecosystem. We want to also support quality journalism. And the last one is to make sure that we are vigilant about emerging threats. For instance, like deep fake images and so many emerging technologies that actually do negatively impact negatively the internet. And we want to be at the forefront of that development as well.
Thanks, Ariane. So before I move on, just a quick housekeeping things. If you do have questions, do raise your hand, and I think one of the runners will go and provide you in a mic. But also, if you would like to ask questions from our social media feed, I have an updated page on here, so it's updated me like with a lot of questions on live. And also for the three best questions, I think you will be gifted a Grab voucher, if I'm not mistaken. So please be creative with your question. And I will select the three best later at the end. So thanks, Ariane. There's a lot of good things there. And I think one thing that I actually want to get Dr. Cindy's opinion is actually there's a very interesting question from the audience, which is from Dea Fitriana. Because I know that you've traveled around Indonesia as your role. Why do you think a lot of people in Indonesia, and maybe not just Indonesia, maybe across the region as well, they're so susceptible towards hoax news? Do you think like there's a fundamental issue in how our human resources are being trained and developed? Is there a knowledge gap, etc.? Is there any kind of like big questions or factor that you think plays a big role in this?
It is very dangerous because when we believe in something that is wrong, it can affect the citizens, including confusion. It also can cause people doing risk-taking behaviors, and that can harm the health. And of course, there are a lot of things that maybe contribute to the problem. It could be the technology didn't filter enough because they usually have algorithm that can filter the misinformation or disinformation, but that's probably one of the problems. The other problem is in a lot of Indonesians use internet, social media to read news. Um, from my surroundings, from my environment, I see a lot of people not watching TV anymore, not reading newspaper anymore, and maybe those are some of the problems that increases the chance of people believing the fake news.
Thanks, Dr. Cindy. Yeah, a very good point on the social media thing, I think, because with social media, everybody can post anything they want, which is why actually a very strong moderation policy as well as filtering is a very essential thing when if we were to become a very smart digital citizen, I think. So, Nizzy, over to you. So both of the other speakers mentioned the need for a strong filtering mechanism, but also I think a lot of, because you mentioned about training with the trainers, etc. Do you have any plans, or at least the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group has any plans to utilize what is already existing in terms of moderation policies, technologies that are built to filter this information, and how do you go about it and transforming and using those available technologies to actually bring real changes in ASEAN with your objectives in this project?
Thank you for your questions. There is one thing that I think we need to remember about technology and digital technology, that we need to be inclusive as a person. We need to show inclusivity as a person from our group, as a part of Asian Youth Advisory Group. And I'm deaf person myself. I feel like many people questioning about the accessibility for persons with disability, and it is very important to bring up the inclusivity in the use of technology. In ASEAN, the use of technology in these countries is not easy for people with disability. Without It's not easy for the people with disability without the disability. However, we as a person, we need to access the information. And for the people with disability, we need to include those people with disability to give the best method for giving the accurate information for this community. Let me take example. If people do not understand about technology, for sure we need to educate them so they have more knowledge how to use the technology. And based on my experience as a deaf person here, many informations are not available with subtitle, and I cannot not subtitle or captions or closed captions. And this ASEAN Youth Advisory Group would like to encourage people to have a more inclusive, to have a mind of inclusivity. And we do believe that if we become inclusive in giving information, in using technology, we are pretty sure that we can back against misinformation together. And it can resulting in a good situation, especially in ASEAN countries in ASEAN. So this, our group, we encourage people, and we encourage people to involve persons with disability in any activity, in any plan. So there will be no separate groups. I think what we tend to forget is that we forget about certain community, so they are not be able to access just like what we can do. Here in Indonesia, start from Sumatra to Papua, is such a huge country, and in the and ASEAN we have like 10 countries in ASEAN, and we together we need to again to encourage people to be able to access all of kind of information, because the access is there. We're not walking one by one, but we are together on this. Thank you.
Very well said. Thank you. No, and I think you raised a really good point about inclusivity, because sometimes we assume that everybody receives or perceives information the same way we did, and that's why I think sometimes it's a bit difficult for us to comprehend like why other people have differing opinions, etc. And because if we do focus on inclusivity, and in each stages of any public policy formulation, it will ensure that what we're trying to achieve actually gets to all layers of society. So very, very good point there. You see. Before I proceed, is there any question from the audience? Yeah, I think. Yeah, the one with the glasses. Yeah. Best question wins a Grab voucher. Your name and question, please, sir.
Yes, thank you for these things for me. Especially this question for Miss Ariana Santoso. Uh, Maybe I think it's my question is a basic or foundation related with this topic about games misinformation in internet. If I'm right, until this time Google Indonesia implement GDPR for protecting data, but this moment Indonesia per government has released of data protection regulations. I just wanted to know for Google Indonesia in the future, they're still operating in Indonesia as commitment compliance in Indonesia. How Google Indonesia will implement and or apply the regulation of PDP or Perlindungan Data Pribadi as commitment compliance in Indonesia. So Google Indonesia can give support to protect or organize or prevent data and or for information that you mentioned before. Thank you, Fahri from Studio Code.
Thank you, Fari. Very good question on data protection. I'm conscious we don't really have a lot of time, so Ariane, over to you.
Yes, just very quick, Mas Fahri, is that correct? Okay. Thank you so much for the question. Such an important topic, something that we work very hard every day to make sure that we also support users' privacy and safety. So we believe that privacy is something that is very contextual, also very personal. So we actually welcomed our like the Indonesian government to pass the newly ratified Personal Data Protection Bill. It is a huge milestone that all of us should be very proud of, especially with the G20 presidency. And we'll be working very hard hand to hand with our partners and government to make sure our products also comply with the regulation, but at the same time also allow to share our best practices in a way that we have been keeping our users safe. So that and one thing to note is that all of our products are built with privacy and safety by design. So it's not an afterthought, but it's actually like the core principle whenever we want to develop any products at Google. So we are very excited about the next stage, and yes, we are very glad with the latest development.
Thank you, Ariane. So I think conscious we don't have a lot of time, but I would like to throw this very simple but very, I would say, thought-provoking question to all of our panelists, which should encompasses what we have discussed the last half an hour. A very simple question from Cindy Aulia. So, can you tell us a tip or what you usually do when you're trying to convince someone that has been convinced of a very simple hoax or misinformation? Just a snappy line would do. Want to go first? A question that nobody knows the exact question, though. Maybe Ariane first. Yeah.
Okay, so how to convince someone otherwise?
Yeah.
I think starting that first conversation is very important to have an open mind, because sometimes if we know others would have a different opinion, we would, avoid them instead. But I think having that conversation and that's part of the digital literacy skills, right? And also with our partners, we actually try to build the capacity to build that relational skills to have that conversations with people from different backgrounds. That's why we work with different partners, just to make sure all communities would have that capacity to relate to other people that are different from themselves. So I think the most important part is to start that conversation respectfully and, and try to understand the other side.
Very simple, but very strong answer, I would say. Dr. Cindy, over to you.
I would simply tell or explain to them that what statement is wrong, and just tell them slowly and telling them that we need to believe in experts. We cannot just accept a statement from a random online post, because experts have a really good track records, competent and training. So that is what I would say and do.
Although often the most difficult thing is actually make people believe the experts, I think. But that is a journey we still need to take. Dissy, over to you.
Yes. So first, we need to try to understand the message first from the information, and by looking at the trustable sources, and the first thing, we need to educate ourselves with the knowledge with the higher language. That's very important. If we can understand articles and we are able to educate ourselves with a higher language, many hoax or misinformations tend to use low language, if I'm not mistaken, and easy to remember. If we look at the expertise, opinion, or argument, sometimes people tend to lost or do not understand with what they want to say because of the language expressed by those expertise. That means high language or difficult to understand. Therefore, I would say that we need to try to deliver the news with the language that is easier for people to understand. But we need to see again the background of the society and the persons, because you know that people here in each country, we have a different capacity in understanding things. We cannot force people to understand things directly. Probably they need time, and we as the expertise, we need to try to deliver the concepts with the language that are accessible by them and could be understood easier by them. And the question, how about for the deaf community? I think we need also to digest, the way we deliver the concepts with the language that they are understand. I think that's my answer. And for deaf community, for sure, it's sign language. I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Thanks, Nisi. So to recap, we should still engage with people, very open, honest, but also try to adapt our communication style, and also always refer to the experts, because as Dr. Cindy said, we can't really be an expert on all fields. So I really wish we had more time to discuss this very interesting topic, but in this short 30 minutes, I hope that you find this talk very useful, and I do hope that what we discussed this would help in any way to support what the incredible work that the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group is doing to tackle misinformation. So I think that's all from us. Ariane, Dr. Cindy, and Nisi, thank you very much for giving us some of your thoughts about this very interesting topic. Yeah, and I think we'll hand over to the MC back.
All right. I believe all of us got very valuable insights, especially how we become smart digital citizen in the digitalized era nowadays. And once again, we want to thank our moderators and speakers for sharing their experience and knowledge with us. Thank you. And so, everyone, we have arrived to the most important agenda in this inauguration event, and we would like to present you a video about the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group. May you enjoy the video. Great. I hope with the video, now all of you know what the member of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group will do. You could also collaborate with them and join their effort in raising awareness in digital literacy. Now, we are very pleased to introduce to you the 20 selected members of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group from the 10 ASEAN member states. Please see their introduction video here. Please do enjoy. Today, we really hope to meet all of you in person. And on behalf of all the members, I would like to invite the two representatives of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, Olivia and Nisi. So Olivia and Nisi, please, you may come to the stage. We will now hear the pledge by ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, led by Olivia and followed by all members who joins online.
We are the proud member of ASEAN Youth Advisory Group, and we pledge to be the voice of good for fellow country youth in ASEAN region, and we will support the effort to combat the misinformation and disinformation.
Thank you to Nisi and Olivia for the pledge. And for the both of you, may you please kindly stay on stage. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have witnessed the 20 youth pledge to combat misinformation and disinformation in the ASEAN region. Last but not least, as a symbol of the inauguration, we would like to invite His Excellency Ambassador Johannes Abraham and Dayang Kuswazani Pangiran Haji Ismail as representatives off to come up on stage for the pin presentation. So His Excellency, please come to the stage. The name badge officially declared them as a member of the ASEAN Youth Advisory Group and be part of ASEAN Foundation's effort in combating misinformation and disinformation. And now for the documentation, I would like to invite Dr. Yang Mieng, the Executive Director of the ASEAN Foundation. Mr. Muhammad Aditya Kardin, Charge d'Affaires at Interim at the Permanent Mission of the Republic of Indonesia to ASEAN. Mr. Sang Pratit Snokpun, Deputy Permanent Representative at the Permanent Mission of the Lao PDR to ASEAN. Mr. Jonathan Chua, the Third Secretary at the Permanent Mission of the Philippines to ASEAN. And then Mr. Kitisak Klomchit, Charge d'Affaires at Interim at the Permanent Mission of the Kingdom of Thailand to ASEAN. Director Lee Yung Yung, Community Affairs Directorate at the ASEAN Secretariat. And the last, Alfred Bull, Mr. Alfred Bull, the Director of the American Spaces Office. Dear all attendees, now that we have concluded the inauguration ceremony, we would like to thank to all attendees, both who joined virtually and physically here. We also wish to thank all the partners and crews on duty today from America. And under the ASEAN Digital Literacy Programme, there are still many upcoming activities. So stay tuned to ASEAN Foundation's social media to get updates and join us on our initiative in combating misinformation and disinformation. To everyone here, thank you so much.